Evening in 2006, 3 prisoners at Guantanamo Bay were found dead in their cells, marking the first confirmed deaths in the custody at the prison camp. While the U.S. military was quick to label the deaths as suicides, some say, hold on, not so fast. Scott Horton is a contributor to Harper's Magazine. He published an article about what he thinks really happened that night. He joins me now from our studio in New York. Scott, the military has said these 3 men committed suicide. They hung themselves with cloth. Why are you disputing this?
Well, frankly, the military's own case, which was issued, heavily redacted just about a year ago, collapses under further examination. They claim that these 3 people committed suicide in a way that they could not physically have done it, with their feet bound, hands bound, cloth past the gagging point down their mouths with masks on and so forth. And quite recently now, 4 soldiers who were on guard at the camp that evening have reported in an exclusive to Harper's Magazine a very detailed account of exactly what happened that evening, and it establishes that these 3 prisoners were in fact removed from the camp that evening and taken down a winding road about 1 mile away from Camp Delta to a secret installation, which most of the soldiers believe was operated by the CIA, or if not them, by the Joint Special Operations Command, and they did not return from that facility alive.
Now, Scott, you relied a lot on the testimony of a certain staff sergeant, Joe Hickman. He was on duty that night. Why is his testimony so critical?
He was the sergeant of the guard that night. That is, he was the person who was responsible for the security of the camp, and he was responsible for what entered and what departed the camp during the evening. The military's examination and their report all proceeds on the hypothesis that these prisoners were in their cells and that they hung themselves in their cells. But in fact, the camp guards, led by Hickman, are able to establish that they weren't there. They'd been removed. They were taken out between 7 and 8 o'clock in the evening and returned at roughly 11:30, which is after the time of death. And they were returned not to their cells, but to the detainee medical facility, which is where we know, in fact, the bodies were delivered.
So a lot of the dots here not connecting. Also in your article, you talked about that morning the morning after the incident and one of the commanders at the base, and he wanted to make it clear that the media would get a very specific story. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, that's right. In fact, all throughout that evening, we learned, interviewing a great number of different soldiers who were there, word spread like fire throughout the camp among the guards that these 3 prisoners had died as a result of choking on cloth. And at 7 o'clock, there was an assemblage of all the guards at the camp theater, and the camp commander, a man named Colonel Michael L. Baumgartner, appeared before them and told them, you all know that these people died by choking on cloths, he said, but soon the media is going to be reporting a different story. The media is going to be reporting that they hung themselves in their cells. And he told the soldiers, in fact, we have 5 separate soldiers confirming this account. He told them, you may not dispute or in any way undermine this official account that's going to be issued. And he reminded them that their discussions on the phone or by email were being monitored.
All right, Scott Horton, thanks for speaking with us today. It sounds like some pretty interesting information that doesn't all match and some dots that aren't all connected.